Come on over here and visit. Okay? You're going to feel a whole world of difference. Come on over here and visit. Because I'm telling you, if I get you adjusted, you're going to feel different. Okay? And I see it. I see it.
I have two equal loves beside my family, is my love of chiropractic and my love of animals. The profession is really this incredibly beautiful philosophy, this delivery system, our ability to explain it on so many levels. And when you think about taking care of people or dogs or cats, is that the system is either in a state of already open, on the other end of the spectrum, all of you know the person who is way vigilant, way subluxated, shut down. What was the sequence of events that occurred? What was the trauma? Well, maybe it was a birth trauma. Maybe it was, a kid that gets beat up by the parent, or a mother who took drugs, or a father who's harsh. Imagine like that state of readiness and guardedness, and then living your entire life from that place. I saw a horse get adjusted when I was really young. I think I was 8 or 9, I don't know, I was pretty young. My dad and his two brothers are chiropractors. Awesome, all three of them were awesome chiropractors. When I was a kid, I was watching a horse get adjusted. I just was hooked. Sure enough, it's amazing how life works. I got out of school, and within a matter of months, I had my first horse. We've done not such a good job at getting the message out about the beauty, the simplicity, and the truth of chiropractic. However, I know that in my own realm that I've watched animals tell the story of chiropractic better than I could ever do.
So that's how you create a small circle with the engine engaged. Because the minute he does those unasked for outside rings, yes, you feel that? Yeah. And you notice he doesn't run through the balance then. Right. He actually waits for you. Nice. You played with that.
My foundation is a 501c3, and the name of it is the Prasad Foundation. And Prasad is a Sanskrit word for gift of love from God, and the animals for me have always been that. And so the fact that I have this property now here in Southern Oregon that allows me to provide not only a sanctuary but a rehabilitation center for the horses, for a few dogs. Primarily at the moment we focus on the horses. I got a call, it was actually on a Thursday night, from a rescue in Washington State. And they said, we have a horse. It's a survivor of a domestic abuse situation, and we need to get her out of the state. She was in a situation, from what I was told, where there was a domestic abuse problem. The woman in the situation owned 2 mares, one of which was Dizzy's mom. The other was Dizzy's full aunt, full sister to the dam. The lady was removed from the abuse situation. The woman was transported to the hospital, and the perpetrator of the abuse then translated it to the horses. Took a baseball bat into the stable area, which was apparently an in and out with a barn, and took the baseball bat, successfully killed the 2 older mares and beat Dizzy pretty seriously. She managed to jump out of the enclosure and ran down a road and got hung up in a barbed wire fence, and that's where the neighbors found her. And they think she was probably in the fence until about 8 the next morning, when the neighbors came out, 7 or 8. She came to me with wraps on 3 out of her 4 legs, huge contusion down I think it was the left side of her head actually, an ear that didn't really work at all, a jaw that was extremely sore, and a really terrified little heart. What I ended up going and picking up was a devastated, traumatized 2-year-old. Gosh, that was probably 7 or 8 years ago. And she's now a content when she's in her herd situation, healed, mostly sound, just a little uneven in the one front leg where the hoof was almost cut off. If I were to go and greet her, it was the beginning of an episode of abuse. And it didn't matter what I was doing with her, her perception was, from that vigilant, historic place of injury, anything I did to her was abuse. She wanted to be reached. She would almost let us in, and then she'd immediately hide and run away. This isn't a horse that hasn't been handled. This is a horse that has never gotten over the trauma that happened to her, to the point she could accept, not even enjoy, but accept handling without artificial means, whether it was sedation, whether it was restraint. Usually it was all of the above.
You have this gentleman, this Dr. Jake.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Tell me about that.
Sorry, give me a second.
Seeing him in his element and seeing him work with not only horses and animals and people, and seeing the love that he had for the work that he did was really inspiring to me.
Jay is a very, very warm, charismatic, open human being.
His love of animals, but then just his experience, his knowledge, that comes with partly with time, but also the passion for knowing so much more than just adjusting.
Jay's been practicing for a long time, and he's just inspired so many people, me being one. And to witness his compassion, to witness his dedication and commitment to this principle that we call chiropractic, to bring it to people, to bring it to all living beings, and to watch them to connect. That's the powerful thing.
I instantly felt welcome. I instantly could just feel this amazing heart and beauty resonating from him. And so immediately I loved him. One of the first instances I really had of his clinical work was he was doing a presentation and he showed a video of him adjusting animals. just watching that video, you could see every move Jay made was in perfect flow with the animal's rhythm. You could tell that he may be, you know, down around the sacrum, but you could see him watching the dynamics all the way through.
And that's why that to see him in that rapport and that connection with everybody, people, babies, and especially with animals, it's that place of unconditional love on both sides. They instantly see him and they can instantly trust.
Jay has a big heart and an uncanny ability to really connect with animals. And if there is one thing that the world can learn from Jay, is the depth of connection that he can have with an animal. And Jay has a beautiful ability to connect and become one with that animal and really deliver from his heart the adjustment.
Although he seems calm around here, when they saddled him up, he got vigilant and scared. And when they got on him, they had a hold of him. Now, I don't really know the whole story, but when he bolted, I don't know if they contained him and held him and got right off, or if he bolted with somebody on and got away. I don't know that he bucked anybody off.
The horse was vigilant. It was really spooky. There's a major problem with problem horses, is that they weren't started correctly in the beginning.
So that's discharge. Like a seizure is discharge. Big amped up charge in the system, and then the person seizures and discharges. Watch out, watch. Even just touching it. Just touching the system. That's the central nervous system that's out of whack. That's up here in the system. Sometimes we can get on, if I can get underneath of there and give a good adjustment to the atlas and axis, but that's super sensitivity. You can even just approach that, and just a little stimulus sets it off.
Our nervous system, whether it's an animal's nervous system or a human nervous system, is very intelligent. So even though we're carrying a lot of stress, or if an animal's carrying a lot of stress, the number one purpose of the nervous system is protection. So it will go into a vigilant state in order to protect itself. So it may not be the best way to function, but it's the best way to protect itself. But it's not the best way to live, is in that protective, vigilant state. So you see this huge animal come into the stable that's a very visual representation of what we all experience as stress. And then you watch somebody like Jay go through his process of adjusting, and you see him make these moves and make these releases through this enormous animal's spine, and immediately the nervous system starts to calm. It goes from that place of protection to that place of, oh, okay, it's okay. I can release this. I don't have to hold this. I can release this. And the skin starts to soften, and the ears start to go back, and the eyes start to close, and the lips start to relax.
When he worked on that horse, the vigilance went away.
the field of energy that's responding to not only the environment, but the internal decision-making of innate intelligence via the nervous system, and it's either in a state of defense and vigilance, or it's in a state of open and free. On the other end, you're going to watch open and free with the animals, and you're going to see a beautiful thing, and it's in people. Well, I had a little bit of the story about what had happened. So my curiosity was just what was going to be there, you know, what was going to show up, and what was her behavior. And it was behavior I had never seen before, which was hiding out.
I see you. Come on over here and visit for a second. I'm going to get your neck adjusted, and you're going to feel like a world of difference. So you got to come on over here and visit with me.
If she doesn't think something's going on, I can almost always get her. She could read that there was an intent that we were going to do something in her vision to her, as opposed to do something for her. And Dottie took on the role of being protector for Dizzy. She still, to this day, if Dizzy gets overwhelmed, which you got to see, will screen for Dizzy. She'll put herself in front, and she'll actually take on a person she doesn't know. She'll actually pin her ears and bow up just a little bit and get taller and go, "What's your intention? My friend, you're scaring her back off."
The hideout is like the deepest level of protection that they can go to. So like that's, I'm not safe, I'm safe with my buddies, and I'm gonna hide out. I just don't want you to see me, because if you see me, you could catch me, and if you catch me, I'm gonna get hurt.
She was not only hiding behind the buddies, but the buddies were protecting her. I've never seen that before. I've watched a lot of horses. I never saw this particular horses coming in to shield her.
She's watching, and she knows it's me, you know, that it's me that's gonna, that part she's probably got figured out. And she's gonna lift, and she's gonna look back like she's doing now. You know, the eye's gonna come up, and she's gonna watch me, and I'm gonna watch her.
My dream for Dizzy, my dream for all of the horses, is to provide for them a quality of life that is content, that is relaxed, that is as active as their physical limitations allow, where they can interact with humans and find contentment in their existence. For Dizzy, we were never able to establish that. I was very concerned we weren't going to get her adjusted, and it was breaking my heart.
I think to see the value of chiropractic for animals, you have to take a step back and see the value of chiropractic, see the value of studying life and the healing process.
Like that. Oh, you gotta love that. You gotta love that.
When a chiropractor is doing an adjustment, it's more than a physical adjustment. It's bringing in an energy field of healing. A defensive posture is, oh, a lion's chasing me. Okay, I'm in a defensive posture. I'm out of here. The lion's not chasing me. I'm no longer in a defensive posture. The world that we live in is 24/7, 365 defensive posture.
The body has an inner, inborn ability to self-regulate, to heal itself, to adapt to its environment, and that ability can be interfered with in many manners.
What we know is that for over 100 years now, animals and people receiving chiropractic care, and true chiropractic care, I'm not talking people just moving bones around. I'm talking somebody who's really there to release the interference to that intelligence. People and animals who've been receiving that have experienced incredible changes in their lives, and not just with back pain and headache going away, but truly life-changing experiences emotionally, mentally, physically. And the beautiful thing about animals, and I think the biggest difference between animals and humans, is that animals don't have a belief that they can't.
Chiropractic is a way for us, it's a doorway for us to be able to say, wow, like I was living this way, stuck for so long, and now I'm free. And I can have this different perspective of how I view my experiences, or this different perspective on how I feel in my body, or this different perspective on how I have a relationship with somebody in my life.
What's the function of a chiropractor? To facilitate the communication between the controlling nervous system and the responding cells. And if you do this and open up the lines of communication, then the cells have an opportunity to function at their best optimal level.
So many of us, humans, animals, move through our life not really knowing what our potential is because we're stuck. And our experiences, whether it's physical stress, chemical stress, emotional stress, just living on the planet can be stressful. And so we get stuck in this place where we feel like that's normal. And so it's not until we actually can see something different that there actually is a better way to live or a better way to be. We don't really know that until we have that experience. And chiropractic is a way for us to be able to experience that.
You removed the interference to a brain and spinal cord and this intelligence, not just the neural end of it, the brain and spinal cord end, but something we don't talk about, which is intelligence, this realm of intelligence that inhabits the body.
think that you have to take a step back and realize that, you know, we can describe some of the mechanisms that happen in the body, but we haven't a clue how it works. We haven't a clue how it works. And the linear methods they've been using to try and research how it works are never going to work because we're nonlinear systems. We're energetic beings. We function in a way that's so complex that it is beyond our conception.
You know, I've witnessed enough clinically over 38 years to know that when people's nervous systems have been interfered with, they tend, like Dizzy, to be on the vigilant, guarded side. And they've been living like that their whole life. They don't know that there's any difference until you make a correction and there's a normalization there's an expression of a normal body. And then the person realizes, wow, I feel so different. Mentally, I perceive the world differently. I feel different internally.
So in that place of adjusting, it's an honor and a reverence to be used as a vehicle to assist you being two-leg or four-leg, to do what you need to do to go to the next level of your wellness, period.
So the thinking is her security, her safety was her herd. And so we caught all of her girlfriends and we brought the whole gang down and we tied them around the perimeter of the enclosure that Jay was going to work on her within. And then we had Brian there and Diana there and I was there. So her human security blankets were all there and her horse security blankets were all there.
My thought process is this is going to be a challenge. I was nervous, you know, I definitely had a little bit of nervous in that I didn't know exactly what I was going to do, and you don't know until the second you put your hands on them. I know the ultimate goal is to get the nervous system clear, and I know what that means in neurologic terms, and I know several different ways to do that. Managing your own energy in this sea of protectedness, and you can feel the other horses and everybody's maneuvering and dancing, and there's a big energy in there, you know, and it's risky in that, you know, you got horses blowing up and who want to protect her and pulling back, and you know, and if you've ever seen horses go off, it can be pretty chaotic. But then it was like that level of armoring. How am I going to access her nervous system without her blowing up? Once I was with her, I tune everything else out. So you're kind of clearing your peripheral vision and you're hyper-focused with her. And I'm not paying attention to anything else other than her. And then it's the breath, and then it's this sequence of things that I'm doing to break this initial armoring. which is so contrary to what you would think, is the introduction of force into a horse that's already had abuses that are off the Richter scale with a baseball bat. What it is it's an energy that you, for me, I don't know how it is for other people, but for me it's an energy I feel that is a very, it's an intensity, it's a level of intensity that you put your hand in. You feel this frequency or whatever, however you want to reference it. It's a, you know, it's a very, very, it bordered on painful for me there for a while. It was a little, you know, I don't know how to explain it. It was painful. There's a lot of fear, so you're feeling fear and you're feeling pain.
It's always been a dream of mine to adopt 2 Mustangs, and I realized that dream last year in October, and I always heard of a program that was in Canyon City, Colorado, where the Mustangs, when they're caught, they're brought to that program, and it's a jail, and the inmates take care of them. I was anxiously waiting for the one, and sure enough, after I would say an hour, I saw Blanket, which is the black one. And as I continued looking, I also saw Thunderstruck, which is the lighter one. We just let them be here and get used to everything, and the environment and the animals and us.
And here they are in captivity, and you throw them in a new scene that they don't even know. The very first day we went out there, they both came up to us and really allowed them to start touching them and petting them, and you know, it's amazing the amount of trust a wild animal has to have for that to take place.
Blanket, the black one, she has a huge fear of being touched behind and always is very elusive. We were able to touch him, but we didn't really do a lot of work with them or lead them around, so they weren't used to being led or having a halter on that much either. We also knew that Jay was coming, and we thought that would be really amazing if Jay would give him the first adjustment.
Well, it always feels good being around horses, but with the Mustangs, there's a lot of, you know, it's just unknown. And I've been around the horses a couple times, so I've already connected with them and been out in their paddocks. And Blanket, I hadn't spent all that much time with. You know, you're starting a relationship and you go slow, and so, but with Blanket, you know, you can tell I could tell looking at them, you know, you can just tell that you're gonna have to have a conversation. And so we had a conversation today, you know, that led to an adjustment. It's a wonderful feeling to see them let their guard down
and allow you to do things that, and a lot of what I was doing is not necessarily an adjustment so much as it was just letting me handle her.
It was amazing to see Jay work with her as he did, because I've not seen anybody else. And we've had some trainers here and even myself. She's not let anybody let her touch like that. It was incredible, really incredible. The trust that she immediately built with Jay was quite incredible.
What took place today wasn't so much in a structural way as it was their central nervous system being very vigilant. So the things I'm doing are asking them to let off the gas pedal and allow that system to open. For a horse to do that and just allow me to do that is a really big deal.
I own Victory Hill Training Center in Salida, Colorado, my husband and I. And we train horses for cutting, versatility ranch horse, pleasure horses, trail horses. We used to do a lot of arena show horses, and we are still doing the cutting. We go to about 1 cutting a month with our horses, and we would not be able to do what we do without Jay.
Hey, Sandy.
Hi, Jay.
Nice
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
And this is a 10-year-old gelding, and he's one of our really good show horses. We just finished our cutting season for this year, and I'll show you what he looks like when he's in action, and you'll see why I have Jay work on him. I don't know if you can see where his legs are right here. Sometimes it's like he almost touches the ground. We had him at one show. The judge came down and told us he was the only horse at the show who was able to hold all 3 cows in both his classes. But this horse works so hard. That's why we have Jay come and work on our show horses at least every other show, sometimes for every show.
Easy.
Our cutting horses put out so much effort and work in what they do. And if Jay can come and adjust these horses before we go to a show, we're able to do phenomenal things.
This is just a cutting practice. This is a training device that we use for training helping train the horses.
Okay.
To get them to turn and follow the flag. It's just like following a cow.
There's a point where they understand what you're doing. And there's a point where they're not getting it, and then there's a point where they're getting it. And then all of a sudden, then they'll let you do anything, and he'll be picking up his leg and helping you. But there's a point until they have to figure it out. But usually when something releases, they get it.
Jay has worked on horses for my clients, and I have seen things that were almost, it's like a miracle when you see something happen.
Easy. Pretty good shape for 25.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really, really good. His neck's
I noticed just watching you the difference it made in his stance.
just flex.
His neck came up and his head flexed.
Yeah, I'm taking essentially a rusty hinge and getting it to move again. And the more movement, obviously the less pain. The less movement, the more pain, and it also interferes with the function of their body. So the freer they are, that translates into the health of the horse.
I started with the Atlas, and we're not really thinking about alignment. We're not trying to align anything here. We're trying to free it. It's a really important distinction. The horse is not misaligned. The horse is jacked up neurologically and in a very narrow range of function. And introducing forces stimulates huge beds of neurons. And that has an effect on the way the brain operates.
I've never seen the combination of the gift of the touch of healing, the heart, the savvy of understanding.
So you're feeling that, and at the same time you got to disregard that because you got to go do the job of correcting this thing, preventing the nervous system from normalizing. And so I had to keep my mind on that. And then I'm trying to find an access point, you know, a place to put an impulse into the body. I'm not too sure at what point did she let out a sigh, but it was a couple of minutes in, and she took a big breath and sighed. And then I'm like, I'm okay. I still had fear in me and some angst. And it wasn't just that trying to manage something that can blow up, but it was also just the pain of it. It was very painful. The trick is staying with her after to let her know that the force went in and the system settled, and then I'm still here. We're okay. You know, picking up feet on a horse that's vigilant, you're taking away the very mechanism of running away.
He picked up her feet, her feet have never been off the ground by a human's request, except if she was sedated to the point somebody had to be on the side of her so she didn't tip over in order to get the foot up.
That was a really wonderful sign. And so to be able to pick that up and then just to open her chest so that she could breathe some more. And then it became fun, because then I knew she was with me, you know, and you're hooked up. So, you know, once she was with me, then it was like, how much are you gonna let me do here?
I think that that's one reason why animals are so easy with him, is because it's clean, it's clear. They can feel that. You know, you can't fool an animal. And I tell you what, when you walk up and you come with that heart, that deep sense of service and that deep sense of integrity, every living being is going to connect with you and know that the truth really of what you're going to do and what you're going to say.
I know what it means structurally, and I know what it would mean emotionally for the horse. And there's incredible relief in that. You can feel the relief. And then I'm feeling that in my own body, you know, and connecting, I'm sure, with whatever memories I have. But it wasn't here in my head, it was in my body. You know, you feel it in your body. You know, I'm sensing all of that, and then also trying to get my own story and her story, and like, which one's the right story, you know, here. My dad was a pretty tough cookie when we were younger. It was harsh, and he had a turnaround. He had one of those moments where things turned around. But when he was younger, he was he had a mean. He wasn't. I wouldn't say he was mean. He was heavy-handed physically. Where if you got out of line, it was pretty strong corrections there to keep all the troops moving in the right direction. And when I was 16, that all stopped. You know, my dad and I had an altercation and brought everything to a halt. He was beating me up, and for something silly, you know, but he was beating me up, and he was, but he was hit me pretty good. But I got used to being hit, and my mother used to say, if you cry, he's gonna just, whoop you more, and or beat you up more. So just stand there and take it. So I got to where I could withstand quite a bit of discomfort. But this is the first time I was bleeding. So, I realized that's blood. That's blood. I'm able to laugh of it now, and there was something, the fury, all of this 15 years, or I think I was 15 or 16 at the time, and all came up, and that, I hit him and he went down in a heap. And, that brought everything to an end. My whole family was watching this, so my mom and my sisters were there. And he went into a convulsion, and we thought he was convulsing after I hit him. And we pulled him over to a couch, and my mom, it's like a movie scene, she's pouring Jack Daniels or whatever she had into his mouth, thinking that's going to revive him, And I found out years later, after confronting him about what was going on for him to do these things, that, he just lived with a great deal of fear, and the fear would come out sideways. but the bully in him, the worm in him, the whatever it was, turned, you know, and he stopped, you know, he stopped, which was good. You know, it was just, he had gotten away with it, and he finally couldn't get away with it anymore. It was so much holding, you know, to feel her spine was, it was like feeling a piece of iron. You know, it was just so contracted. There was a particular maneuver in the back where we goosed their butt. To goose her and have the top line raise and pow. You know, it was like, it was like, that moment was like, oh man, this is good. You know, she started to breathe. You know, she lowered her head. It's beautiful. You know, it's
Normally in a group setting like this, her head would never be below her ever.
go from super hyper vigilance to ease, or some degree of ease. You know, and horse people, you know, if you've been around horses, you know what that looks like. This tail that's swishing, movement of the butt, respiratory weight, you know, respiration, where the head is, eyes, ears, curiosity. You know, all of a sudden you could see like, oh, she can now, her reference range was close, and all of a sudden her reference range got bigger, and she became interested. And you could see she was noticing things. I've had a lot of horses with trauma. This was different in that this horse witnessed the death of 2 other horses, you know, by a beating with a baseball bat. And then she was then beat but didn't die. So I can't even imagine the constellation of energy, physical pain, mental pain, and then her pack mates being murdered. And then it was just my own feeling. It was took me a while to, I'm not too sure what happened there. It was the deepest level of emotion that I think I probably ever felt. It's pretty close at the moment because it just happened. It was, I've never felt anything like that. So it was, you know, it's deep and it's in the heart. You know, I felt it throughout my whole body. It was everywhere. But you're not thinking so much. You're just, it's like a wave of feeling that's pretty uncontrollable. And so I was unable to control that. Just, it's like horses sometimes.
I have never seen this horse be curious ever. She has never walked up. She walked up to my jacket to see what it was. Her mind was functioning and she was interested in what it was.
You know, what you see is that all of a sudden you start to see the real horse. That's the part that's so moving, because you realize, gosh, that horse would live like that the rest of her life. And then underneath of it is the real, authentic, God-given horse. So, you know, that part for me is so moving, to like just see her meander and curious. Yeah, they're looking at you, they shoot you a look, you know, they come over to acknowledge you. You know, for her to just walk over to the gate and put her hand on her nose on my hand, it's like a big deal, you know.
I just stood there in delight and awe of watching her time-lapse photography of a plant coming out of the ground, growing, and then the flower opening into this most unbelievable bloom was what I watched happen for that mare today. That's the first time I've ever been able to just pet her, that she's come up not afraid of having her face touched. This is the magic. This is what I've been raving about for months. This is a horse that has known nothing in her own experience of life since she was 18 months old, but to be hypervigilant, to be afraid, and to be in discomfort, I believe, in her body from the injuries that were done to her because they'd never been cleared. Releasing that stress, releasing that mind lock, basically that complete belief that life is going to be dangerous. And I think many of us as humans walk around with that. We walk around with it from childhood. I got to stand there and watch this little horse go, oh, that's what you're doing. Okay, that feels better. Maybe that is okay.
So there's a story to be told, and there's a service to be given by a chiropractor that can change the quality of your life. I mean, in a very profound, positive way. I want to encourage people that, man, you need to, if you're struggling in any way, shape, or form, you need to go see a chiropractor, and a good one.
I think this type of work can work on any living organism. Dog, horse, cat, exotic animal, absolutely human.
There's an enormous potential inside of everybody that can be liberated through chiropractic, and that you haven't been told that. You've been told some story about what this is that's not even close to the truth.
Defies imagination. I hope people line up. It would change the world.
Okay, easy. Just easy does it. More. That's a serious top line issue right there.
Oh, yeah. It felt like it.
All right,
Oh.
back on your stomach.
Really? Moving?
When you're
Just
ready.
a second.
Yeah, you can integrate that as long as you need to.
My staff doesn't start until 6:30, so we're good. I might sleep a little in the morning. Oh.